Hi, it's Nikki. I'm back again. I had a bit of technical trouble just now, so here we are. It's day 14 of my series of talks to help you with information to become more confident in your own innate immune system, to boost your immune system, to regain your confidence in getting out there in the world again post-lockdown. And today I just wanted to bring to you some emerging research. My teacher, Leo Primbaum, he has written a paper on how there are certain gene receptors that are involved, they think, in both the susceptibility and the severity of symptoms if you should express with COVID-19. So I just wanted to share with you his research paper because it's very interesting in that the interventions are really something that you, everyone, me, everyone, can implement very, very simply. And you can share this information with your friends and loved ones and family. And hopefully, you know, that gives everybody a bit more confidence and be a fantastic tool. I mean, I just think if we have knowledge, it's empowering, isn't it? We can have our own first aid kit and we can help ourselves and our loved ones with this information. So with that said, I'm just going to talk about the paper. I've written a few notes because it's all brand new, hot off the press, and I was reading about it at the weekend. The paper discusses the emerging research into how something called ACE2 cells, these are surface cells containing angiotensin converting enzyme 2, how these cells that are present in many tissues throughout the body and many organs, including the lungs, the liver, the gut, the pancreas, the brain, and the blood. They all have these ACE2 genes in them, and they're particularly prevalent in the human lungs. And this paper goes on to talk about how epigenetics, which is the science of gene expression without alteration in the nucleotide sequence. So this is where your environment, other factors can influence whether that gene is expressed or not. So it can be silenced with certain conditions or activated with certain other conditions. And there's something called DNA methylation. That is a process that will activate or inactivate something as well. So it can be hypomethylated or hypermethylated. And if it's hypermethylated, it silences the gene. If it's hypo, sort of under methylated, then it can be more expressed, this gene. So both DNA methylation of the ACE2 cells can help to both reduce the susceptibility and also the disease severity. They also found that in recent publications that the higher expression of ACE2 in the lungs is associated with greater disease susceptibility and greater severity. So what this shows is that there are certain epigenetic mechanisms that seem to be part of the pathophysiological impact of COVID-19. Right, what else did I want to tell you about that? So it all sounds a bit sciencey and a bit complex, but essentially epigenetics is at play here. And because they've identified certain receptor sites, certain virus receptor sites, so both with the ACE2, but also something called furin, which is a protein activation gene as well. These are both been identified as the virus receptor sites. And so, and the other thing they have discovered is that the methylation rate in lung epithelial cells, that's your lung lining, is lowest compared to the other tissues where ACE2 is prevalent. So that suggests that lung tissue may be most susceptible to the expression of ACE2. Also, they discovered that age correlates in this study with hypomethylation. Remember, hypomethylation means that it's the gene is switched on, and so it definitely correlates with what we're seeing, that more elderly people, more men, smokers, all of these people have been identified as being more susceptible and have more severity of symptoms, whereas women, children and non-smokers are shown that their DNA hypermethylation is prevalent, and therefore lower expression of these ACE2 proteins, gene sites. So remember, it is about silencing the genes to reduce susceptibility and reduce severity. So what are the interventions that I've alluded to? They call them epi-drugs because they're like epigenetic drugs, but they're actually foods and supplements that you can take. So that's why it's so great to know this, because everyone can act for themselves. So interventions such as vitamin D. Now, I've mentioned that in previous talks about how that boosts the immune system, but it also works on these ACE2 receptor cells. So vitamin D, and that's found in fatty fish, egg yolk, and some cheeses. Also something called quercetin. You may have heard of that, as it's in the skin of grapes and berries and apples. Also found in onions and buckwheat and broccoli. So we can introduce more of these in our diet. Also sulforaphane. This is also found in broccoli. It's also found in cauliflower, kale, cabbage, bok choy, watercress. And all of these things are readily available at the moment in our seasonal foods. I just had the most delicious bok choy this week that I got from the organic farm market locally. You know, these things are in the shops as well. Also curcumin. Now, curcumin is really an amazing spice. It's known as the active ingredient in turmeric, and it just works on so many pathways, and it's a potent activator of the gene, the DNA methyltransferase, which is this activation of the DNA methylation process, which will silence this ACE2. So all of these things can be found either in foods, or you can find them in supplement form as well. And I can put some links to some supplement ideas there as well. You can do so much with turmeric, let alone all these other foods. It's really a calming and a supportive, immune boosting and anti-inflammatory modulator molecules in there, the curcumin and other active ingredients in the whole turmeric. So you could make the turmeric lattes. You can add it to any of your foods, make delicious curries with it. Wonderful. And also have it in supplement form. So those are the interventions. And also, if you are a smoker, to cease smoking as well during this time is a really good idea, because that was part of the research that came out as well. So very, very simple interventions. They do no harm whatsoever. So even though this research is in its early stages, there is no harm done by including them. So I just wanted to share that with you today, and I hope that's been helpful. And let me know if you've started to include any of those foods or supplements in your diet, and how you're feeling, and if you're enjoying those delicious foods as I do. I mean, I think the things that I've listed, form quite a prevalent part in my diet, and I think if you're looking at your diet not as a diet, but as a sort of a way of living, then you're always going to be supporting your immune function, because that's a fundamental part of health. And you can go about your business in the world, and having a great life, and in the life you want to have, and that's really vital, I think. So bye for now, and I hope you found that helpful.